back to another week of Iowa High School football. It's a playoff edition here of Prep Preview on CISN TV, presented by Fairway. Trent Condon with you for another week as the regular season has come to a close. Time to take a look forward at the playoffs here tonight. We got two great games for you as well on CISN TV. I'll be in West Des Moines this evening as the Valley Tigers welcome in Coach Pazzetti's and company, Ankeny Centennial, coming to town. Certainly, Coach Swenson against Jerry Pazzetti. Those two have done a battle throughout the year. Should be a fun one out in West Des Moines. Up in Ankeny, it'll be the upstart Wolves from Waukee Northwest making their way up, trying to avenge a loss from a couple weeks ago against the Ankeny Hawks. Those are the two games we have for you here in this playoff edition this week of our coverage on CISN TV. Before that, though, let's put a cap on the regular season. Every single year, how fast it goes, and here we are once again. Let's start with the Valley Tigers as they run past Des Moines Roosevelt on Friday night, 42-7. A lot of big plays in the game. Their first offensive play from scrimmage, in fact, goes for a touchdown as Valley jumped out to a 42-0 halftime lead and won it 42-7 over the Rough Riders. Another game we had last week, another team fighting for playoff spot. It was Des Moines Lincoln going up to Ankeny, but too much Hawks in that one as they win it 56-0 and get the victory and solidify their place in the top four and a chance to host in the first two rounds. How about the Johnston Dragons? Talking last week, would the math work out? Even if they were finding a way to beat Ames, could they get in? They do just that. Not only get the victory last week, 37-19 over the Little Cyclones, but they get their shot in the playoffs here as they walk in with a 4-5 record. Southeast Polk flexes their muscle in a big-time way, 61-0 over Cedar Rapids Jefferson. And mentioned Waukee Northwest. How about this last week? Going on the road to Urbandale and getting a hard-fought 17-16 win. They came back with the score late in that game that won it as Waukee Northwest gets into the playoffs with the victory, solidified themselves there, and maybe putting themselves in contention here to win a game of two. Feeling good about those Wolves. They got a difficult matchup, though, themselves coming up this week. Dowling Catholic capped off the season with the win as the Maroons got it done by a final score of 38-14, and they move on at 6-3 to the playoffs with that one. Those are some of our scores from the 5A level last week. Well, I mentioned that it is playoff time. The bracket is here, though not a traditional bracket that you think of. Before we get into that, though, let's first talk about the RPI system. I know there's still some people out there wondering a little bit about this system, how a team can get into the playoffs at 4-5, like a Johnston, like an Ankeny Centennial, why teams like Lincoln, Roosevelt are left out. And the biggest thing is, it is based on your schedule. Yes, you have to win football games, but also strength of schedule is basically the main component of the RPI. And the way that it's set up there, a one-game difference really isn't that big of a difference as it pertains in the teams that you play, their record, and also your opponent's record. Those are the different parts of the RPI system. Is it the best system? No, it's not. I think there are more analytical numbers out there that could give you a truer sense of the top 16 teams, but it's a step in the right direction. I think that the association continues to head in a positive direction, and ultimately, what are we trying to do here? We're trying to get the 16 best teams into the playoff, and I think we're getting closer and closer to that every year with that RPI system. You can make arguments certainly on both sides, but it's a system that's in place. Everybody knows it going into the year. It's the same set of rules for everybody. That ultimately is a pretty good thing. So I mentioned the top 16, that advance. Let's take a look at it here and the final RPI and the pod system that's set up. So if you're looking for a bracket, you're trying to print it off, you're wanting to put an office pool together, something like that, that's not the way this one works. The pod system is basically 4 teams in each of these pods. You know, of course, who you're going to play in the first round, and then the winner of the other game in that pod. Those 4 teams then will play off. One of the 4 will advance to the semifinals. Once they get to the semifinals, then they will reseed the teams. Let's just say, for instance, Southeast Polk, Dowling, Valley are all there. Southeast Polk would be the 1 seed. They're the number 1 RPI team. Valley would be the 2. They're the number 3 RPI team. Dowling Catholic is the 8. So they'd be the 3 out of that group. That's the way that the reseeding process would be set up. That's the direction that you'd be heading to get to that point. Now, that won't happen, the two teams I mentioned, because Southeast Polk and Dowling Catholic, if they both win, they'll play each other in the quarterfinals. Pod number 1, that is Southeast Polk, the overall number 1 team. They take on Johnston. That one will be played out at Southeast Polk High School. Also in pod number 1, as mentioned, Dowling Catholic. They'll be playing over at Williams Stadium, and they welcome in Linn-Mar, an upstart team doing some good things from the east side of the state. We'll get another look at a squad coming up in that one. The winners of those two matchups then will face off in the quarterfinals. Pod number 2, only one local team involved in that one, and that is Urbandale. The Jayhawks look like they had a chance, maybe even getting a top 4 seed. Their loss to Waukee Northwest, though, bumped them out of that. Not only that, now Urbandale has to go on the road here in the opening round. They'll be traveling over to take on Mitch Moore's Iowa City High squad. The former Roosevelt coach now doing a great job with City High. The Little Hawks 8-1 on the season. That's where Urbandale will go. The winner of that one will take on Dubuque Senior, who goes on the road against Cedar Rapids Kennedy, the only remaining undefeated team left in Class 5A. Pod number 3, game that I'll be at tonight. It is Ankeny Centennial facing off against West Des Moines Valley. That one at Valley Stadium should be a fun one when those two teams get together. The winner of that then will face the winner of Cedar Falls and Pleasant Valley. That is the other matchup in pod 3. Finishing up with pod number 4, Ankeny is there. Ankeny earned themselves the number 5 seed. They take on Waukee Northwest. Saw that game a couple weeks ago. Got away from the Wolves. They're looking to avenge that one and a tough road trip up to Ankeny. We'll have that one for you here on CISN TV. The other matchup, Cedar Rapids Prairie, who has been very close. They're 7-2. Their record is not indicative, though, just how close they are of being undefeated. They had Southeast Polk on the ropes. Another tight loss for them. They'll take on Bettendorf in the first round. Cedar Rapids Prairie, though, is the number 4 seed. That means if we do get the two home teams winning in pod number 4, Ankeny would have to go on the road to take on Cedar Rapids Prairie a week from Friday night. That is the pod system, and how it lays out again then once we get to the Dome. They will reseed the teams. The top team against the 4th best team remaining, 2 versus 3. That'll be the semifinals, followed by the championship, a fun road to the Unidome, and we got you covered here on CISN TV. With that, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back on the other side, time to hear from the coaches in your matchup. Conversation with the coach presented by Elite Eye Care. Coming your way next as we continue here with Prep Preview on CISN TV, powered by Fairway. We're back with more here in a moment.
We are ready. We've waited for this one for a long time. The anticipation, the excitement, the intensity. The teams are on the field looking to build on last week's success.
Construction doesn't need a play-by-play call, but it does need a team. Like the team at Graphite Construction Group. From concept to planning to building completion, our team is with you every step of the way. We've been building all over Iowa. Schools, offices, stadiums, critical services, and more. Talk with us. Tell us your vision, and you'll see and feel the difference of having the Graphite team with you every step, brick by brick, beam by beam, and play by play.
And the beam is up!
Mitch, this isn't a field goal.
You mean like it's a touchdown? Graphite Construction Group!
Graphite Construction Group. We build it better.
So Russ, what do you do in the off-season?
Mitch, we don't have an off-season.
Holt's Plumbing and Heating continues to be one of Central Iowa's fastest growing plumbing, heating, and cooling companies. I'm proud of what we've accomplished at Holt. Our team is leading the way in providing the latest in home comfort solutions, and we have fun doing it. Our passion is to be the clear first choice for all your plumbing, heating, cooling, and home service needs. And at the end of the day, a job well done and a happy customer means everything to us. Just one more reason why more and more Central Iowans are saying, let Holt handle that.
If you plan to buy a franchise business or you're thinking of starting a new franchise, there's a lawyer right here in Central Iowa that can help you through the process. Rush Niggett of Brick Gentry Law PC has set up an affordable service to help individuals considering buying or starting a franchise business. Learn more online at rushonbusiness.com. Let Rush Niggett help you buy or start your franchise. Rush Niggett, the franchise lawyer with Brick Gentry Law PC. It's good to have Rush on your side. Welcome back once again. Prep Preview continues on CISN TV. Time for conversation with the coaches. Let's hear from Jerry Pazzetti, the co-head coach of the Ankeny Centennial Jaguars. They get ready for their matchup tonight against the Valley Tigers. Very excited to talk to the coach, Jerry Pazzetti. Next here, it's Conversation with the Coach, presented by Elite Eye Care. Ankeny Centennial goes on the road to take on the West Des Moines Valley Tigers. And joining us right now, the longtime head coach for the Jaguars, he is Jerry Pazzetti. Coach, as always, good catching up with you. Thanks for joining us here today as we get ready for the game.
Well, thanks for having me.
Let's kick things off first as you guys were waiting towards the end, seeing if you guys were going to get into the playoffs. It's a little bit different than it was in the past, but the RPI numbers came out on Friday night. Were you staying up late and waiting for those numbers, or did you just find out on Saturday morning?
Well, we thought, that our team deserved to make it. We played a very difficult schedule. As far as the RPI, our opponents have won more games than any other team. And we've had some ups and downs, but our young people have stayed with it and looking forward to the game.
Well, you match up against the Valley Tigers. We'll take a look at them here just coming up in a moment. But before that, Coach, going through this season, the Week 2 victory against Ankeny, I think, certainly changed expectations for a lot of people out there of what you guys could be and how it's developed throughout the course of the year. I know you had a lot of new faces this year. Just kind of an overview of what you saw out of your group here in 2021.
Well, we're trying to get better and better every week. And like you said, we're playing some very good seniors, and we are playing, although mostly juniors. And this time of the year, it doesn't make any difference whether you're a senior, a sophomore, or junior. You have to play very good football.
Well, when you look at Valley, that's a very good football team. Gary Swenson, year after year, has the Tigers playing at a high level. As you've looked at Valley getting ready for the game this week, what's jumped off when you've looked at the Tigers?
Well, Valley, of course, very well coached. They're always good. They've lost 2 games to very good teams down in the Southeast Polk, and they have defeated some very good teams. And you watch them, on tape and so forth. They got a quarterback, Morrow, that throws the ball. They've got 3 receivers that are very, very good, and 2 good running backs, and of course, it starts with your offensive line, and they have a very big offensive line. And, all the teams that we've played so far have had very good defenses. We played Southeast Polk, we played Urbandale, we played Northwest Waukee, and so forth and so on. And this is a very tough 5A football list.
Certainly is, and maybe one of the more wide-open years that we've had at the big school level. It feels like a lot of those years there's 2, 3, maybe 4 teams that ultimately can win it all, and it feels like certainly that number a whole lot better here, and everybody gets their opportunity starting here on Friday night. Coach, from there, I'll look at your squad a little deeper here, and I want to start with your quarterback in Peyton Good. Such a good athlete out there. He's run the ball incredibly well. You guys, of course, always start with the ground game and what you guys do there, but take us a little bit of what you've seen out of Peyton this year going through his senior season.
Peyton, I hate to use this word, but he's had a very great season. He's not playing for us now. He has been hurt the last 2 games, and he's had his a broken ankle, and he had it operated on Monday. So Peyton, great young man, great leader, ran the ball for us, threw the ball for us. we miss him a lot, but he will not be playing for us.
So it's been Trenton Smith for you guys the last week. I'll tell you, he's got a great name with the Trenton. That's a good start right there. A sophomore,
Right.
though, a tough spot certainly to walk into here, working with these older guys and going through it and having to do it in the late season. What have you seen out of Trenton Smith?
Trenton started against Southeast Folk and did a nice job, against a very good defense. And then last week, he played the first half against East Des Moines, and he threw some nice passes and ran the team. So he has stepped up, and it's his job right now.
Well, you guys are very good, as always, defensively. Brody Taggart, been impressed by him, what I've seen out of him this season. A lot of other guys on that defense. What have you seen out of that group as a whole on the defensive side of the football building?
Well, they fly to the ball. They're very well coached, and we're starting, I think, 8, 9 underclassmen there. And like you said, Brody's a very good football player, and our leading tackler is Zach English, and we have Easton Miller as a linebacker, and I could go on and on naming the players, but they're very good football players.
Well, Coach, congratulations. Certainly in order, another year back in the playoffs, but with it also breaking through and becoming the all-time wins leader here in the state of Iowa. What that accomplishment meant to you and your football program and all those kids that you coached throughout the years?
Well, I'm just happy and proud to say that I've had all these outstanding players, play for me, and I not so much play for me, but I had the opportunity to coach them, and of course in football, your other coaches are so important, and I've been very lucky there having people devoted to our programs, and I'm very proud of that.
Well, Jerry, it's been great watching your teams throughout the years. Hey, one final thing I wondered about. You guys still maintain many of the same philosophies offensively that you did in the past, but you did evolve. You did some changes throughout the years. You went to some more shotgun looks, those kind of things. Who was the one that talked you into that? Or was that something you came up on your own and you said, we do need to move a little bit?
We've done that for years, to be honest with you. When we won the state with Ankeny back in 2011, we had Landing at quarterback, and we ran the shotgun, all the time. And we try to do what we think our kids are best at, and we will be in the shotgun, and we do throw the football, and we know one thing: the Valley will be ready for us, and hopefully it'll be a great game.
Well, looking forward to it as always, Coach. And I'll tell you what, your offense, it always throws us broadcasters off a little bit. Always got to keep your eye on the ball, make sure you see the right guy with it. I think you're going to trick me a couple of times.
I hope you can't. It might help us a little bit.
Absolutely.
So we do try to misdirection and fake the ball well.
You guys do a great job of that year after year. Coach, always so much fun to catch up with you and talking here as we get ready for Friday night. Ankeny Centennial against the Valley Tigers. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
That is the head coach, co-head coach, along with his son, Ryan, Jerry Pazzetti, joining us here on the pregame show as we get ready for the matchup coming up this week. It is the Tigers and the Jaguars, and we got it here for you on CISN TV. Conversation with the coach presented by Elite Eye Care. We're back with more here in a moment. For all of your and your family's eye care needs, make it Elite Eye Care. Dr. Ethan Heisman, Dr. Heidi Bell, and Dr. Kelsey Sawatsky provide expert eye care close to home. From eye exams to contact lenses, eyeglasses to sunglasses, make Elite Eye Care your local optometrist. Set up your next eye care appointment with Elite Eye Care, 9250 University Avenue in West Des Moines, and online at eyedoctordemoines.com.
Obsessively, relentlessly. That's what you can always expect, even when faced with the unexpected. It's a service we take seriously, providing comfort in the rain, tools to help you save, a helping hand along the way, and from a safe distance away. Delivering the energy you need while going the extra mile. Regardless of the times, our team remains committed to you.
Guys, are you looking for an excuse to watch football all weekend long? Then schedule your vasectomy with the Urology Center of Iowa. The Urology Center of Iowa offers nitrous during your vasectomy, cutting-edge technology to help you relax during your procedure. Make the call to 515-400-3550. That's 400-3550 or online at iowauro.com. Vasectomies with the Urology Center of Iowa. And tell them you heard it on KXNO.
Our team at D. Armand Ford Indianola are committed to giving you an exceptional ownership experience.
As a family-owned business, my dad and I are in the dealership every day to ensure you experience the D. Armand difference.
Our core values of hard work, honesty, trust, and integrity are what we build our business on.
Experience the difference at the all-new D. Armand Ford Indianola,
where you'll actually enjoy doing business.
The all-new D. Armand Ford Indianola, darmandford.com.
Hi, I'm Joe the Car Guy with Westside Auto. I'm excited to tell you about our new lifetime oil change plan. When you purchase our plan, you'll never have to pay for an oil change again. If you get a different car, simply transfer the plan over. If that car's oil needs are different than your original plan, just pay the difference. It couldn't be simpler. You won't have to worry about inflation or prices going up. Give us a call at Westside Auto Pros to get details on the lifetime oil change plan. And remember, when I say lifetime, I mean your lifetime, not just your car's.
Welcome back once again to the pregame show here on CISN TV as we get ready for tonight's matchup. It's the Valley Tigers against the Ankeny Centennial Jaguars. Joining us again this week is Gary Swenson. We're becoming old friends here. Well, Gary, we've known each other for a while now, and I know, you asked for plays for me and all that, but we're really doing this on a weekly basis now. How about we just continue this through the dome? What do you say?
Yeah, we've learned to tolerate each other, Trent. That's probably more accurate, but okay, I'll take that. Yeah, let's get that far first.
Yeah. And we looked here as we get to the playoff structure in place. You guys do secure one of the top 4 seeds. Of course, that means the pod system this year. Do you like the pod system in comparison to a 16-team bracket and the reseeding that we do now with the semifinals? Do you like kind of this structure?
I do. I think it's just consistent, and it gives you an idea at least who your second round opponent could be if you advance, which helps in your thought process going forward. And the thing it does do now with web-based video and huddle and the ease of film exchange that we have compared to 10 years ago, you can get home Friday night and you can start and work and get all the video exchange all set up for your coaches, where before, I mean, we were driving to exchange game DVDs, and then when you might not even have known who your next opponent was going to be until Saturday around lunch, and we've obviously created more work for ourselves, but it does allow you to be more organized. It kind of puts your mind at ease. If you do win, here's who you got. If you don't, you put the pads away. So that's the finality of the playoff tournament.
Well, before we look forward at the playoffs, so one final look back at last week and really the regular season as a whole. You guys go 7-2. Last week, you get out early against Roosevelt. I know the Rough Riders were really banged up going into that game, but you got to see a lot of youngsters out there also in the second half. Just how important that is for the development and maybe a guy that can help you out here during this playoff run. If an injury comes up, just getting some film on those young guys.
Well, we just haven't had games where we could do that. I mean, when you play a competitive schedule like we do, even if you're a pretty good team, you're in close games every week. So those backups that practice all week and maybe they run on the scout team and they do everything you ask of them. The only thing they want is to get out on that field on Friday night like the other guys. So if you get a chance to do that, you want to do it. So at halftime, I mean, we had the game was over and we just said, okay, we're subbing out in every phase of this game. And we did it with our kick teams. We did it with all of the scrimmage plays offensively and defensively. And it just makes everybody feel better. I mean, your starters feel good for those kids. They understand the dilemma they're in when it comes to playing time. So that's always a good night when you get to do that. It doesn't matter who you're playing, or we knew that. I told our coaches, look, if I don't care what we win by here, these kids need to play. And if we have to give up some points or not move the ball, then so be it. So it was a good situation.
With that, you get ready for Ankeny Centennial. Of course, the co-head coaches over there talked to Jerry earlier and getting ready for his squad. It's though things have evolved and they've changed, you still just the keys that you have to go into going against a Pazzetti coach team, knowing there's going to be movements, there's going to be counters, there's going to be sweeps, there's going to be misdirection all over the place. Just how much more reps that takes maybe for your defense getting ready to see that.
Yeah, it's over the years when we've played them, they probably provide the toughest look for your defense, because you can't get a scout team ready in a week to run a precision-based offense like they run. It's kind of like you hear Power 5 coaches talk about getting prepared for the service academies and the triple option. You can't show it like it's going to be in the game. The speed with which it hits in a game is so different than anything you can simulate in practice. It's always been difficult. And this team is similar. So we know that going in, you just do the best you can in practice and try to show them as close to what they're going to see, knowing it's not going to measure up to what you'll actually have to face on Friday night.
And pretty good defense over there at Centennial. 8 guys that are underclassmen starting there, but boy, they got a really nice young group of defensive players, and they played really at a high level, holding Ankeny to just 7 points back in week 2. They lost a game against Southeast Polk 16-0. Couple of really good offenses, and they've held them down. So sure you feel you're going to have your hands full with that defense.
Oh, this is a good football team, and they play as hard as anybody does. If anybody thinks their record is indicative of their chances of advancing in this playoffs, they're wrong, because it's kind of like I said when we got ready for Dowling, everybody's, well, they've lost some games. Okay, but who'd they lose them to, and what kind of team are they right now? Ankeny, Centennial is, I think, as good as anybody. I mean, that's obvious from the scores. The head scratcher for us was after week 1 when Indianola thumped them. Everybody was like, well, gosh, they must not be very good. Well, 2 things are true as they have played out in their season. 1, Indianola is a really good football team. And 2, Ankeny was playing a bunch of kids that had no experience that night, and they've just gotten better every game. And they're playing at a level now where they belong in these playoffs just like we do, and they'll give us all we want. I mean, you can throw those records out at this point. They don't mean anything.
With that, you mentioned that making that jump in those young guys. You've had a lot of young guys this year, especially defensively, getting their first varsity experience. We see it at any level it is, but what is that jump coming from 9th grade, JV football, whatever it is, going to varsity? How big of a jump is that for kids?
Well, it's every level of football, all the way up to the NFL. What do you hear people always say? Well, it's the speed of the game. And you go from junior high to 9th grade football to maybe JV or sophomore football to varsity football. It's just better players, better speed, better execution. Everybody's coached better. And until you play football against that, you don't really understand it. So it does take some time when you can use the word young for a senior if it's based on his playing time, and the fact that we were young on defense to start the year, some of those guys were seniors, they just hadn't played. And Ankeny Centennial, what that tells you with their guys when they're juniors and sophomores is they're pretty doggone talented kids. So they're moving into play at a young age. From an eligibility standpoint, our kids were moving into play as young players based on experience. Now, how does that play out? I guess we'll find out Friday.
Gary, one final thing for you as we get ready for this playoff stretch here. You look at the pod system, we talked about it and going through it, but just your squad, where you are. You always want to be peaking at this time, starting to play your best football, those kind of things. Do you feel like you guys have leveled and are getting to that point as we get ready to flip the switch to playoff time?
Yeah, I don't know where I thought we'd be at this point. I really don't. I mean, I thought we'd have a good team. I don't know. We didn't know preseason if that meant 500 or above or better than that. We really didn't, because we never know just how good everybody else is until you play them. Based on every program's history, we knew we would have our hands full on a whole bunch of our 9 regular season games, and we did. I think the difference for us this year, we were just able to win some close games. You know, we lost a close one to Dowling, but we won 2 overtime games and beat Ankeny right at the end. Those games all could have swung the other way. Well, where does that put us if that happens? I mean, we're looking at either not being in the playoffs or being in the same seed that Centennial is in. So the ball bounces in weird ways sometimes, and we caught some breaks that allowed us to win overtime games or close games. And so what happened? We ended up with a pretty good season, 7-2. If you told me preseason, what would you take? Would you take 7-2, 8-1, 6-3? I'd have probably said sure. That means we've beaten some good teams because I knew who was on our schedule.
One more thing, and I lied. I got one more for you. It's about just this 4A field. You know, most every year, there's 2, maybe 3, sometimes 4 teams you feel can win it all, but that's about it. That can ultimately win the prize at the Unidome and bring home the hardware. 8, 9, 10 teams. I mean, it feels as wide open as I can ever remember seeing the big school class.
Well, I think what's more wide open this year for sure is who can get to the semis. You know, well, who are the 4 teams that get to play in the Dome? That's where we all want to end up. If you get that far, anything can happen. And I think it's more balanced and wide open than ever from the East to the West than it's ever been. As far as who can win it all, I mean, I still think Southeast Polk is head and shoulders above everybody if they're healthy and they're playing well. I thought the night we played them, they were untouchable, but they've proven to be human, and some people have competed with them and in one case even beat them. So who knows? You know, going forward at this point, you just try and survive the week and then move on with who you have. And that's what we're looking at right now.
I'll get ready for the first one here tonight. It's Ankeny Centennial in West Des Moines to take on the Tigers. Gary Swenson, the head coach of West Des Moines Valley, joining us here, our conversation with the coach. As always, Coach, thanks for the time.
Thanks, Brent.
For all of your and your family's eye care needs, make it Elite Eye Care. Dr. Ethan Heisman, Dr. Heidi Bell, and Dr. Kelsey Sawatsky provide expert eye care close to home. From eye exams to contact lenses, eyeglasses to sunglasses, make Elite Eye Care your local optometrist. Set up your next eye care appointment with Elite Eye Care, 9250 University Avenue in West Des Moines, and online at eyedoctordesmoines.com.
Hi, this is Chris from Fireplace Superstore, and you've probably noticed there's shortages on most everything in the market today. Well, Heat and Glow has helped us out this year, and they are focusing their energy on their gas fireplace inserts. So if you've got a drafty old wood-burning fireplace and you want to get it retrofitted into a beautiful, high-efficient gas fireplace, come see us. We will have product to sell you.
Heat and Glow gas fireplace insert from Fireplace Superstore, 109th and Douglas in Urbandale, just west of Homeacres.
Why do businesses succeed? The Better Business Bureau sees the traits of successful businesses every day. It's not easy, but it is simple. The BBB fosters trust between Iowa businesses and consumers.
Visit bbb.org.
Welcome back to Prep Preview on CISN TV. Trent Condon with you as we get ready for kickoff right around the corner. Couple of matchups for you this evening on CISN TV. Up in Ankeny, it'll be the Hawks as they welcome in Waukee Northwest. Should be a fun one out there. Saw this game a couple of weeks ago. Right away, you could see Ankeny coming on the heels of that loss to Valley, just how pumped up that squad was and just took it to the Wolves right away. But these rematches, especially rematches that happen this close together, a lot of times seem to be a lot tighter here. I think Coach Kabatic and company certainly going to be ready to go. Going to have to slow down that high-powered Ankeny offense. And J.J. Cole, boy, the performance he had in that game, he has gone to another level as this season has progressed. Seeing that junior quarterback for the Hawks, he's playing at a really, really high level. Waukee Northwest, this is one you need to slow them down certainly, but I think they want to stretch this game out as much as possible. Grind it out. Let that clock run, eat up some clock, and try to get the ground game going with Rankin. That gives them the best chance of pulling off the upset here tonight. Speaking of upsets, Ankeny Centennial, they're trying to do that in the game that I'll have coming up for you here on CISN TV as they take on the Valley Tigers. Valley, we know how good that offense is. A big offensive line, a running game led by Danny Rankins Jr. Hutch has done a nice job. They can really run the football. One of the best tight ends in the state in Eli Reardon. Their quarterback, Mason Morrow, he's played high-level football, but still the question remains with West Des Moines Valley is that defense. And with the defensive questions that are there, Ankeny Centennial, even a team that is limited this season and what they've done running the football, you know it's going to be a difficult assignment. You got different guys moving around. You got different motion all over the place. You can't be tricked by what your eyes see. You got to follow that football, read your fundamentals. It's a big, big ask for this Valley defense here. And we'll see if Ankeny Centennial can do just that, trying to grind this thing out, get those 3, 4, 5-yard carries, push it forward, and also, maybe most importantly, keep the Valley offense off the field. I think that's a big component here if the Jaguars are going to pull it off. We'll have both those games for you. You can bounce back and forth just here on YouTube. Search CISN TV, and you can find the link for both of the games, as obviously you're watching one right now. The other one also up there for you here in the round of 16. Other matchups going on this evening. Southeast Polk, they welcome in Johnston, the number 1 seed Southeast Polk against the 16 seed, the Johnston Dragons. Dowling Catholic, they'll be playing over at Williams Stadium. They got Linn-Mar coming in their matchup. It'll be Urbandale on the road tonight for Iowa City City High, and also a matchup there. It should be a fun one to keep an eye on from the other side of the state. Also want to mention a lot of great games happening in Class 4A, down a level from where we normally talk about a lot and broadcast from, but a lot of big-time games happening there at the 4A level. Let's take a look here at some of the matchups, including a lot of local teams involved in that. Let's start first here with the matchup with Winterset. They'll be at home for Clear Creek Amana. Norwalk goes on the road to take on Webster City. That comes from Pod 2. Bondurant Farrar, they'll welcome in Fort Dodge in Pod 3. And you also have Carlisle at Indianola. So a lot of local flavor there also in that 4A bracket, which should be a lot of fun to see coming up here as the playoffs are upon it. Now, it started last week, the round of 32 for 8-player all the way through 2A. Not a whole lot of upsets there. More teams involved, though, and certainly going to open up as this continues as we make our way to the Unidome. It's the quest for the Dome coming up here, and it starts tonight on CISN TV. Let's get ready for your game tonight. Myself and Dar Danielson getting ready for the call with kickoff. It's the Valley Tigers and the Ankeny Centennial Jaguars, and it's next here on CISN TV.